something beautiful about childhood in that, you know, we reminisce on it because you had no responsibilities and da-da-da. But the bit I forgot, you felt trapped because you weren't allowed to go anywhere and do what you wanted.
Welcome to the podcast, Theo.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Why don't you quickly introduce who you are and we'll get going.
Yeah, cool. Kia ora, my name is Theo Shakes. I grew up in Auckland and I'm based in Wellington at the moment. And I guess I'm an actor, filmmaker, a creative and a creator. So
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me writing notes because it's just because I'll fucking forget what to come back to. There's things I want to touch on. But I am going to ask you the question that I said off camera is like, take us back. Like, when did this content creation journey start for you? Like, where does that come from?
Yo, cool. It was like, I always describe it as being the YouTube kid at some point, and also being interested in filmmaking. So I took my dad's old iPhone 4 and found ways to film with that. And when he was busy on his phone, I'd take a Samsung. And it had like a feature in it where you could pause and play, and so that would be the editing. Cool. So I'd run around the house, do a 30-minute film that's unnecessary. And then through doing that, I was always like trying to chase, okay, I'm going to be like a Ryan Higa, or I'm going to be College Humor, or one of those YouTube channels. And you're just waiting to go viral or something silly. But I still kept it up each weekend. And in between that, so I'd try and make a decent film or a story drama based thing, and then another week it would just be some kind of content-y stuff. But this was all when I was like 12, 13, so you know, waiting till the weekend because you're busy with school or something. And then through doing that, I just always had an itch to then make and film. And I literally shot in every corner of my house. To this day, I'm still doing it. This morning I did some.
I love that.
And then when TikTok came out, obviously that changed things because in high school, my friend, he was like, do you want to check out this app? I was like, nah, not interested. And then maybe a month later, I was like, I'm curious now because people started doing the dances around the schools, around the school. And I was like, what is this? And then I got pretty like interested in it quite quickly. This was back in 2018. So I was like year 12. And then I started finding ways of kind of cracking it, like just subtle ones, like it was actually copying other people's trends back then, probably, or just jumping on the music or jumping on something, not necessarily dance things, but trendy stuff, because that's how the For You worked as well back then. There was only a certain amount of stuff. And then by 2020 or 2021, I got stuck in a lockdown. And as it happens, I kind of mimicked what Millie Graham had done, and she's an Australian creator who does teacher impressions and everything. And I was like, I just want to give that a go because I'm an actor and I like acting. So I put on the outfit and then boom, overnight, kind of changed. So that's it. And to this day, it's like if you took it away from me, I'll find a way to probably still make. I've just got this itch to do it. Yeah.
Proper creative, right? Well, so when you started to put on or started playing those characters, did it just go straight away? Was it like first video? Was it like a couple that you did, or like? It
really was the first video. Yeah. So I had videos. It used to be Musically. You can go back if you want. Like people sometimes comment on it, but there's me as a like 13-year-old doing some silly trend. But yeah, in more recent times, the character wants that shift, like POV, a POV. It pretty much, and it wasn't like the first one I did was a movie theater because I worked in movie theater in a movie theater growing up. And so I knew what that was like. So I just took a spin on the manager and put it in a movie theater. And then I was like, well, now I just want to like do them all. So I'll do a lawyer, I'll do a car salesman, I'll do a restaurant owner, and like gradually over time, you just keep that up because you're hungry anyway. And then some will pop, some will like kind of be static. But yeah, it keeps happening. Yeah,
it's so good. I think the first one I watched, I saw of yours was the Rihanna.
Oh yeah,
Super
wow.
Bowl.
Yeah,
that was the first one I'd seen.
Yeah,
and the only reason that I knew you were in New Zealand when we reached out was because the fuck, who did I was at Digital Day Out this year. We were speaking there, and there was this young kid from Warehouse Group, and he was like, bro, why don't you get on Theo Shakes? And I was like, oh, bro, isn't that dude from like overseas or some shit? You know?
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, bro, he's from Wellington. Like, I know, like, I've seen his shit. And so that's when we like messaged. We're like, fuck, we should get this guy on and see when we can. But then I went on like a binge and like watched a whole bunch of them because they're cracker.
Yeah.
Because there's heaps in there like, it's so good because it's like everyone can relate to them. Like we've all dealt with it, right?
Yes.
Every single one of your characters just about.
Yeah. It's funny you joined or you met it at the Rihanna one because obviously that one blew up.
Yeah.
But that was one that's different in the year that I've been doing it because I chose to jump on something trendy.
Yeah.
Like I really don't do trends.
Nah, you don't. Yeah.
So what I was doing there was like, it's kind of like when the Queen died. That day on TikTok was just basically if you were a normal creator, it almost just goes aside. And if you're hungry doing stuff every day, you don't want. I mean, you just want the traffic. You want to be in the lane of traffic or whatever. So I was like, okay, let's find a way to do this. So I knew I was going to do an idea.
Yeah.
And I was watching the Super Bowl, and I knew I was going to do POV the cameraman. So I just had to sit there. This was like the most tactical thing I've done. And just watch very carefully for a moment that sticks out. And it was a combination of things. It was the dancing, the singing, and the fact that it's pushing in on Rihanna. And I'm like, this is the moment I'm going to take. Yeah. And then if I execute it in the next hour, they flood. And so that was the case. Yeah. So that was like a tactical one.
Yeah, that was smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did that end up finishing on in terms of viewership? I mean, or where is it sitting?
I think now it's on like, is it there? I don't know, like 18 million views, crazy, something like that. It's pinned somewhere, but.
And it was so smart because like the whole world was looking for replays of that concert.
Yes.
And you turned up every time you searched it.
Yeah.
Like it just kept on feeding the beast of it all. It was so funny.
And with one like that, Americans love it. And you got all the meme pages on Instagram who want to go like hood clips or ESPN reached out and were like, we'll have that. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
nice.
Yeah.
Did they pay you?
No, but you know, there's kind of a line there in some conversations I have, and sometimes I'm like, you know what, it's fine. And then in other times I'm like talking with my manager of, should there be money here? What does that look like? And so now I'll kind of reply and say, I need to get paid, and then they go quiet. And so I'm a bit like,
depends if you want the reach or not, eh?
Yeah, and I think with that's the one. With Instagram, it's different. Like to get on a meme page is actually, especially the big ones. That's quite a okay.
Yeah.
Sure, like, it's.
But on TikTok, it's not the same, eh?
TikTok's not the same
because they just like whenever they've asked to put ours on from the attention seeker one, it's like it gets like 20,000 views, and you're like, what's the point? Like,
yeah.
No one's coming in from your video to us. Like,
yeah.
And like, I don't know if you've seen, but like some of the Lad Bible and whatever, like contracts they sent through initially were just like, we own all your content from this point forward. Yeah. And it's like,
that's the ones I've sort of dodged. When it says here, just sign something here. Yeah. Well, I'll have to go through the whole terms and conditions contract, but I kind of know what they're doing here. It's something that's a bit.
They want ownership.
Exactly. And so it's just like, so the ones that just ask for, we'll post it with credit, no pay. That sometimes feels, well, that's just easy.
That's easy.
Because by the time you create, unless me and my manager put together a little like package deal, by the time you do all that work, they don't want to post it. And they literally, with those meme pages, they like look at you once, you reply, and if you don't,
that's it.
Yeah. And especially on a trend, 2 days max.
100%. You got to be quick. No, that's smart. I think the same too. Like, all of the ones that have just, we'll post it, nothing, no contract, just, will you let us? Yep, cool, go for it. As soon as they send a contract, I'm like, nah, get fucked. No, because I've read your contracts, bro. I was like, you telling me you own, and he's like, no, but we won't actually. I was like, yeah, but you do. So you do own all my content from this point forward. No. Fuck, could you imagine that? And it's real dodgy, because like young creators just will be like, oh, amazing, Lad Bible's going to post my shit. Sign.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fucked.
Yeah, because people peek and pop all the time, and especially someone who's at the beginning of that journey. They have no clue.
Nah, they have no clue. So tell me, because in terms of like where you want to take this, like what does that look like? Like what are you thinking in the TikTok? Because there's other stuff, and I want to dig into the rest of your career, but just TikTok, like where do you see that going? Is it just a real top of funnel strategy sort of thing, or do you see it taking it somewhere?
Yeah, in order to talk about it, I have to involve the other things in my head in a way,
Bring it
because
in,
because it's like this is but I'll try and talk about it on its own. It's a great exercise. It's a testing thing for me.
Cool.
So it's to test my acting.
Cool.
That's why no, you don't hear this voice ever.
Yeah.
And it's to keep exploring the layers of, like, let's say, relatability or human nature or nuance and nicheness in experiences we're all living. So that's sort of the big test.
Love it.
And then the second thing that's kind of happening is a source of income as an actor, which is like huge.
Yeah.
And so to keep that up is important. And then the third thing is sort of the opportunities, the connections, the networking you get. And so for those three reasons, I'm there. Cool. But for reasons of like wanting to be the top creator or to be saying I'd be calling myself a full-time creator, no. Fame, no. It's just a way to pump my artistic explorations.
Just to flex some creative muscles.
For real. But
That's
through that, naturally things happen and da-da-da.
Yeah.
So to know what happens next year, because I graduate from acting school this year, it's like, well, maybe I'll have more time, but maybe I'll have less, because when you're in a routine like drama school, you know where your free time is, or a little bit. Yeah. Whereas when you're out there and you've got endless time and you can map it how you want, I don't know how it will look.
It's that thing, like constraints make you more creative.
Yes.
Yes. So then you get all the free time. Now you're going to be like, fuck, when do I do this? Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. And then tomorrow never comes.
Yes. And working out of adversity, because when I was in my flat last year, it was like I just had 3 white walls and 2 windows. Yeah. It was moldy. It was awful. Right? It was just not exactly. Just not a nice flat. But through that, it was like, okay, I've got the bare minimum. And so even though they're not the most popular videos, if you look back to the ones last year, I'll take something like a coaster and find a way, like really find a way. Because there was nothing in that flat. Yeah. And then through that was fun. It was oh yeah, this kind of looks like this prop looks like that, or that wall can become this. And you have to fill the empty space. I feel that thing. When there's nothing, you dig.
You dig, right? Yeah, I love that. Like, I even saw the other day, this girl was like doing a mock, like sort of your style, but like she was mocking podcast hosts. It was quite funny, and she just had like she had this like makeshift arm that she did with a TV remote. Yes, just like taped on. I was like, it's so good. Yes, it's so smart. Yeah. And look, it's more effective than having the real one.
Yeah.
You're looking there going, why the fuck has she got a TV remote? Yeah. And then you're hooked. Yeah, I love it.
It's I had a certain want to. I couldn't find a way. I did a radio. Yeah. Like a radio one, and I couldn't find a way to prop up the remote. That would be the obvious thing. But I found a way to prop up a slide, and the bottom of a slide looks like a mic, like a black Adidas slide. Yeah. So, and that's when it gets really dumb, because it's like, well, the remote's actually kind of the cliche as well. Yeah. So when you go to a slide, I was like, oh, this is a bit absurd. But then that does create this. Oh my god, that's
And then you do one like you had like a straw.
Yeah,
as your lapel mic. Yeah.
And I like it because it's adjustable. That's why.
I like that was crack up. That was real funny. Fun. So in terms of like, I just want to dig in before we go into all the other stuff, because I really do want to learn about all the other shit that you're doing more so actually. But when did the deals start coming in for this? Like, when did people start to go, or brands start to reach out, and when did the agent start? Like, when did all that world start?
Sure. So in an acting sense, if anyone wants to know, when I was about 2 months in, an agent had already reached out to me, and he's now my agent today.
Cool. Yeah.
So it's nothing to do with TikTok, but that goes to show how, fast it can happen. Because to get an agent, if you go to Toi Whakaari, which is the drum school app, you're kind of 100% going to get an agent, an acting agent. But it's just a question of when. Yeah. I was in first year at the time, so very unlikely. But when they're seeing you're doing consistent work and they like the layers of it, then it's not just influencer. It's not just it's something else. Yeah. So that was the first sort of Anyway, cool. And then maybe like 5-6 months after that, so the top of last year, a company reached out wanting to talk about an app. And I was like, well, considering the rate here and what it is, I'll give it a go. But it was very much, almost like, so there's integration, you know. So it was that I had a Bear Grylls accent that I used to do, and so I was selling the app with this, like that Bear Grylls. So that was like integrating, but it was quite obvious, you know, I'm telling you to do something.
Yeah.
And then maybe like a couple months later, this agency called Fanbytes, who are no longer they're not together now, but they're from the UK.
Yeah.
And they all of them were from the UK when it first happened. Actually.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, we like your stuff. Here's a company called Back Market, which do refurbished tech.
Okay.
All the Apple stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, sweet, but to get their stuff shipped over takes too long. But I've got a bunch of Apple gear, so I can. There you go. I can do it like that, and that way I could have the dad character. Oh mate, oh look at this. Oh what's happy birthday? Here's your present. I got it from Back Market, and then I found a way to bring the character in, but also a situation in to sell a product.
Love it.
And then when you realize the advantage you have if you can be a sort of chameleon in an acting sense, where you can do accents, it means you can work with brands in the UK.
Yeah.
You can work with brands in America, and for people who aren't quite aware, there's not much money in New Zealand, is there? So you know, if it's about money to you, think about how big the market is overseas.
Smart.
But that was never like the idea, because that's when you're just creatively interested in what you're doing, it all starts to fall into place.
Yeah.
So
that's real clever about the accent thing. About like, how do you appeal to these bigger markets?
Yeah.
You know, because like, just speaking in Kiwi accent, I mean, half the time they can't understand us anyway.
That's very true.
So it helps if you're speaking in an accent, right?
Yes. But like, New Zealanders can understand Americans. New Zealanders can understand British. British can understand Americans. British can understand Kiwis. But Americans, they just can't get anything else.
They don't understand anything. They don't understand the culture, the humor. Yeah. Everything goes.
So which is why I made the switch this year.
Yeah.
Well, not why. I always wanted to do American accent, but if you hit America, everyone else will see it.
Yeah.
Whereas all my stuff last year with the UK, maybe like 1% were American, even less.
Really?
Yeah, tiny. And then by the time I did like some sneaker impressions, that quickly grew, because Americans just flock as well.
Yeah.
And they go, "You're talking about us. We love it." Yeah, bro. And they're in.
That is hilarious. That was only such a small American. I haven't really heard that before for a lot of big creators here.
Yeah.
So it all like majority UK.
Majority UK. Oh well, yeah. It was
New Zealand, Australia.
Yeah, New Zealand, Australia.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. Nothing American. It was crazy. So it just needed to flip the accent.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it even felt American if it was British. Nah. Now I can do a British accent because I've garnered them, and then they start to recognize, oh, we do relate to that, and we're already with you, the person probably,
they know you.
or you've intercepted their For You page.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They understand it. They understand the characters too.
Yeah.
Interesting. How's this? Oh, you can say
I was
something.
going to say, could you just want to slightly move your mic up?
Definitely.
Yeah.
How's here?
Just up that way?
Oh,
Yeah.
Gangster.
Yeah, perfect.
Cool.
Yeah, that's funny, because like ours is like 40%. Our attention sequence is like 40% American, and like I mean mine and Joni's accent. Oh, I mean Joni's hers isn't real thick Kiwi accent, but like our accent, and we talk the way we do, and we say cunt way too many times. And like it's funny because you can see the Americans, because they're like, oh my god, I can't believe you said that. Like they'll like get real offended by it, but they love it.
Yeah,
they love it. It's like a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny, because like a lot of the big creators, a lot of the ones I've had on the show who are in the millions and stuff, they've always had big US contingents, which is interesting.
What genre are they in?
Oh, mix. Some lifestyle, some humor, some different things.
Yeah,
it's interesting. But I think you're right. Like I think because you played the full on, because like that's why it's same with me. Like a lot of the videos I'd seen, I thought you're British actually, because when I saw the Rihanna one, I went back and watched stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, that's why I never thought you're from New Zealand.
Yeah,
which is quite interesting. But that's interesting. That really, I don't even know what I want to say here, but my brain's going like, you've just unlocked a bit in my head, which is probably not good for podcasts, which is like, this is something.
No, you have to mull over it.
Yeah, this is something weird. I need to write that down probably. Okay, what I do actually want to know though is I want to know about like you introduce yourself as actor, director. well before you said creative
Yeah.
and creator, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And which then gives me, makes me realize that, okay, so when I did my, looked you up and stuff and I saw your websites and all that things, it makes sense now. It makes sense now, right? Like, so tell me, what does come first? Like, I'm guessing actor or director? Like, is it both?
Yeah.
What is the goals? Like, where do you want
Yeah.
to take this?
Well, this actually needs some reworking. I was
Okay.
talking with my dad about it because
Yeah.
potentially they're not literally in the right order. But
Yeah.
why I would introduce myself a certain way here or
Yeah.
anywhere here, because it's like, well, TikTok's obviously going to be the biggest thing. So I already have to fight against it in its
Yeah.
own way.
Yeah.
Typecasting is, in an acting sense, one thing
100%.
I've already touched on with casting agents, because they go, Theo, you do comedy. And it's like, can you do drama? We know you can. Like,
Yeah.
actors are great. They're versatile, but we need to see it.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you've already got like 1 million or something, then you just push the other side.
Yeah.
If you want
Got
to,
it.
if you have it, or if you
Makes
want
sense.
to. But the truth is, if anyone was to really look at it, like I've been saying, the TikTok it's an acting
Yeah.
exercise. It's acting.
Yeah.
It's not trends and challenges.
No.
So, but you enjoy it as content. And
Yeah.
I'd say, definitely I'm a content creator somewhere in there, but I don't like the word influencer
Yeah.
for myself, just because of, I might be literally influencing people, but I really don't. I think they're more attached to my characters than me,
Yeah.
but they are attached to me.
Yeah.
But it's the same way I always say, if you're going to sell a product like Sprite, you know, here's the can. Hi, I'm Theo. Go check it out. That's making me an influencer. That's going to open up this can of worms for me, which is, we need to know about his lifestyle. What time does he wake up?
Yeah.
What does he eat?
Yeah.
I don't want to give up all of that
Nah.
personally.
Yeah.
So that's why I shy away from it. Same with the word content creator, because that will become the replacement for
Yeah.
influencer.
It's already becoming that.
Yeah, and so you're all thrown in.
Yeah.
So again, it's an artistic thing. It's artistry.
Cool.
It's an artist's journey to explore. So that's what I'm more
Yeah.
keen on. And I have to think about what I do. So I do TikTok daily, but I've been in acting school every day. I do that more.
Yeah.
So realistically, right now, I'd call myself an actor
Cool.
first, but it's all artistry.
Yeah, it's a artistry,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay, that's cool. And then in terms of being an actor, like, what does that look like? Well, like what are you acting in? Like, where is that world taking you? Because all I've seen is TikTok. So, you know, excuse the naivety of
No, it's
me
all
knowing
good.
it. But like, tell me a little bit about
Yeah.
the acting journey.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me smile because I
Yeah.
really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I've just come back from Wellington, which is that world.
Yep.
And then up here, I take a breath.
Yeah.
And all the work I'm doing now, it's not like it'll be out. There's not much you can see because it's live work down in Wellington, or it's the fact that you're an acting student and there's a reason why you're not taking too much work, because
Yeah.
you're studying. And so it doesn't affect your training, but also a time thing. You just
Yeah.
wouldn't have that much time.
No.
But there are some projects I've done over the course of this year,
Yeah.
some screen work.
Cool.
And some of it's more small and
Yep.
short film based or screen tests. And then there's one feature I'm in that's quite
Okay.
exciting.
Cool.
It's public, I think, but like it's not out yet. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
called Bookworm, and it's
Okay.
a feature that was shot in the South Island.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
man, that was like a big eye opener to
Yeah.
how the machine of film works.
Yeah.
Like, and the real test. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a simulation at acting school, there's no way you can quite create the real thing. You
Yeah.
can get close to it, and that's why we sometimes sit at Toy, us students, and go like, are we really acting training? And it's probably because we're just not there with the combination of a busy set, food, star power, this, that. We're just not in the midst of it yet.
Yeah.
And so that one was like crazy. And I got to work with Elijah Wood, which was
Yeah,
insane.
amazing.
And just kind of quickly like be scared by him and, you know, like, hey, how are you doing? You know, like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the day, just like, or, you know, even through it, you're like, no, you're here to work. And you quickly understand that.
Yeah.
And if you've got a sort of fame yourself, you understand how you can obsess, and then actually it means nothing.
Means nothing.
So You can either try and see past that or just keep obsessing over it.
Yeah.
And so, but there's still something extraordinary about it because, you've seen these people, you're obsessed with them in one regard. But it's not good to idolize them, and it's good to quickly get past that in any way possible so that you can share moments together.
Yeah, for sure.
And then by the end, it was so cool. I rapped, and he was just like, Theo, and ran up and gave me a hug. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's a nice guy.
Yeah.
And we had some chats, and
Cool.
it just showed me that, great, this is the image you want when you're a young actor, to look up to people who are positive, who really care, who aren't two-faced or something. Because there's going to be like a bunch of people out there that ain't going to be great. And so to see that, it's like, that's already given me the impetus to go, right, I'm going to be that kind of actor for a young guy if that ever comes through. So
That's awesome.
yeah, but then in terms of like the live work at Toy, extraordinary, like some great stuff. So this year we did a live show which was like almost a farcical, it's a play that's a comedy basically. So and it was a New Zealand play, but it was around the pandemic and around a millionaire who was trying to fix up this small town called Haitiki. It was like a mythical town. So it had like Māori sort of
cool.
aspects to it, but it was like just a bunch of like 16 of us in the class, and 5 did another show downstairs. It's called Double Bill. It's an exercise at Toy, or a project at Toy where the 2 plays get put on in your final year. And we just had so much fun. The whole set was made out of cardboard. And I played a vicar, and by the first day I had already come up with a character which was like this, and he talked like that. Ew. And he might have been a little bit suspicious, something's going on. Oh, hey, Tiki. And because the character was like, he was Vicar Manawa. And I'm like, I think he was Māori. And so I was like, I'm not Māori, so how do we even go? Oh, why not just Vicar Manawa? Just make him British. He's going to say a karakia, and even if he says the karakia like this, da-da-da, we'll figure it out together, and, like... When
That's so good.
Oh, man, that was good fun, that show. But it was just a bunch of chaos. And that was, like, really... It's like you can be that actor who's going to go deep and do a bunch of really, contemporary stuff. And you can do that stuff. Nothing wrong with it. But at that point, I was so happy to have that because I was like, oh, this is just fun.
Just fun. You got to enjoy it too. Yeah. That's cool. The other guys in your class, or in your school, do they also do the same thing? Like, is there anyone else who's doing similar stuff to you on TikTok and things like that?
No.
Interesting.
I mean, I've said it on a podcast before, probably, but it surprises me.
Yeah.
I've finally started saying it to some people. Why haven't you?
Yeah.
And I think they didn't give. I didn't think they give a clear answer. They didn't give a clear answer, but I think it's. This is my hunch.
Yeah.
Fear of copying or being like, Theo's already doing that, so I'm just. But I would really encourage that.
100%.
No, that couldn't be the case.
Yeah.
It's all good. And when you're in such a tight-knit class like that, I don't care about tall poppy at all. Go for it.
Yeah.
If anything, it will be fun. And then the other thing is, I think maybe they're just not that interested. Because if you haven't done it by now, I'm never going to throw in what the money means because you should find your way into it if you want to find your way into it.
Yeah.
But I think, and they're not so, I think many of my class aren't, they're just not interested in fame or that much attention. And neither am I, but the industry requires a bit of it. So I wonder if that's one of the things they're a bit like, it's exposing. And I got over that quite quickly because I was just like, you make and you make and you make and you make and you make. So how can you be precious? But it is a bit exposing. One night, I remember I was just looking at all of it and I'm like, whoa, that's my face. Oh gosh, and that was a bit overwhelming to be like, I'm seeing myself in every light possible. It's in character, but so maybe there's a fear there to just go oh, well, I don't have anything to show for it, and so even if you're a training actor,
it's interesting.
Do you think that
welcome to the chat?
That's a question. So do you think
a lot of the actors, they don't want to get into it because maybe they feel like they're above it because, you know, everyone's trying to act on TikTok, right? And these guys who are doing it professionally, they're like, oh, I'm better than that. I'm going to go off and do this. Do you think that's an aspect of it?
I don't actually, but I could see how it would look like that.
Yeah, interesting.
But I don't because you quickly got to learn. There's only so much. You have to fill your time to act, and to act it means to do. And you can sit around and think about it, but eventually you'll either choose a theatre show, which lasts 6 weeks, and you won't get paid much, but then you'll have to find another one, and then screen work doesn't come. So then you become a maker or a writer. But to do the act, to actually act, what are you going to do these days? Like, you can try and keep putting up a show, but that is a lot of work in many ways. This is the most accessible way to like act daily in my head. Yeah. Or you do it in your mirror in the dark where no one sees, which is an option. But Viola Davis would say no.
You'd think like you guys, I mean, actors, they have such like a head start against everyone on platforms like that. They should. I thought they'd just all be all over it.
But I think they the ones in my class, they're still training, so that's overwhelming for them enough. I've always been someone that's quite good at juggling or multifaceted things and holding the ball up. Not everyone is like that in my class, and they come from backgrounds that are so different, and so I can acknowledge that. But then also they probably see it as you have to be an influencer, and I think they shy away for that reason too. They just don't think you. How do you do? But you have to maybe be good at something like accents, and not everyone is in my class, admittedly.
I actually think because we've had the same conversation with musicians and stuff on this channel as well, and I more think that what it is that in every industry there are the 1%, right? They're the 1% who will go hard and they're just the doers. They're just the people who get shit done and just make things happen. And the rest of the world aren't those people, and that's okay. Like, they can still be career actors and they'll pick up jobs and stuff, but how many Tom Cruises are there in the world, right? Like, there's not that many, and there never will be many. And it doesn't matter if not everyone can be that. And so, but how many people are acting school? Like, millions of people around the world go to acting school. And there's just there will be people who just stand out from the crowd always, and they're the ones who will go on to do big things. And it doesn't mean that the other guys won't have a career. It's like an hour or two, kind of we get heaps of people who come into this building, and some are just fucking really good at just getting shit done, and then other people are they're good, but they're not that guy. They're good, but they're not them. Yeah. And it's just the same way. It's it was the same with when I was in hotels, running hotels. I climbed up the ranks real fast, because I was just someone who just went and got shit done, and I just did it, and I stood out all the time, and I ended up getting moved around. Every time there was hey, this hotel needs some help. Oh yeah, I'll go do it. I'll go take that role. I ended up having 12 jobs in 11 years, and just everyone was a notch up the ladder. But most people, and I'd say to people, I used to think, because I used to do the same thing, why aren't you doing this? How do I encourage you to do more? And then I sort of got to an age where I was you know what? They're just not gonna do it. Most people won't. It doesn't mean they're gonna have a shit life. And not everyone wants my crazy life. Not everyone wants to work 100 hours a week, growing a business like this, right? They all see the success we have, and they're like, oh, that's cool, I want that. But they're not gonna do the work for it. I think the same thing's for you. You'll end up going on to have this amazing career because you put in the work. But not everyone can do that. It's just not something everyone can do. Most people can't actually. And I see that all the time. You get our team's full of awesome people, but there's only a handful of them who will ever go on to have massive careers, big, huge careers, build their own businesses, do whatever. Because most of the people here are workers. That's why they're employees.
Yeah, it's interesting, that's why I've started to. I keep asking people around me, what do you want? Because I just want to make sure. I'm not even trying to nudge you or push you where you're not even interested. And because it used to be everyone wants to do this, and then you can get it wrong by. But actually, the want is not even there, and so it's okay. And there's a girl who I flat with, and she's also in my class, and she's interested in doing some low-key theatre here and going back to her hometown in Invercargill and putting something up. So to them, that's it. That's it. And Toy asks questions around what is success, and there's the obvious thing, which would be Hollywood or something like that. But can you be a sustainable actor without that. And I don't know what the answer is, but with just doing acting is what I mean. I'd say this is one of those options, but to do theatre or be on TV constantly or Shortland Street, maybe that's the thing here. But to find a way that it doesn't have to mean Hollywood or mega stardom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not like the question you said with Toy asked you is about what does success look like. The answer is different for everyone, right? Like,
yes.
And then and I get that a lot with our business. Our business has grown really fast in the last 4 years that we've had it, and people will go and look at me and sort of like almost, especially people whose businesses are older than ours and way smaller than ours is now. They'll be like, "Fuck, how did you do that? Like, can you teach me how to do it?" And I was like, "You don't want to do what I've done to do this, right? Like, you just don't want to. Like, it doesn't mean that you don't have a great business and you aren't like you've got success. Like, you get to clock off at 5 o'clock and go hang out with your kids. Like, I'm like." My partner and I don't even want kids because we want this. So like, this is different. You want to go hang out with your 2 kids. Like, go do that because that's cool.
Do you think that would change an answer like that? Like knowing you don't want kids?
Yeah. Oh, you mean if I did want kids?
Yeah.
So,
so you do?
No.
Oh, so that would never change?
Nah. Like.
And you've kind of locked that answer in somewhere.
Yeah. So like I've said to Claire, my partner, I've said to her, it's different for women, right? Because like they have a biological clock. Like,
yes.
I can have kids right till the day I die.
Yeah.
So for her, I've said to her, like, if things change, because she doesn't want them either. She probably wants them less than I do. But I said to her, if things change, and that you just have to ask, like, we're in this together. So, I will have kids with you if you want to do this. But at the moment, it's not what I want. It's not what she wants. So it probably won't happen. But I say probably because like maternal instinct's a thing that like nature controls almost, right? Like it's hormonal and that could change for her. But at the moment, no, we love our life. Like we love hanging out with the 2 of us. We love I love working in business, and I know that if I did have kids, I couldn't go as hard as I do now. There's no way. It's irresponsible to have children and then neglect them. Like that's just stupid. So if I had kids, I know I would change the way I operate. But I love doing what I do and the way that I do it. I love business. Like I love it. Like there's nothing more I enjoy doing. And so I see that when I see other people who have kids and they're like, I want what you have. I'm like, no, you don't. Because that you had kids. Like you want your kids. Like you want family. You want that life. And there's nothing wrong with that life. That life's great. That's super successful. But you can't have both because one will suffer. You'll either not look after the business the right way because you're too busy looking after kids, or you'll neglect your children. You can't do both. Like they're both multiple full-time jobs. Like each kid is a full-time job. And when you when you're growing a business from scratch, you've got 5-6 hats on. Like you can't then throw kids in the mix. So I think it's right. I think like that's kind of where I got to that point because I always see people who want stuff. And I'm like, do you though? Like, do you really want? Do you really want what comes with that life? And like being a real successful actor, as you know, like your privacy's gone, like everything's gone with it. Tom Cruise can't walk down the street. Like who are any of those big actors? So I think, and then especially with the Kiwi culture, like most people are quite, we're quite conservative people. Like we're not big, loud. We're not American. We're not Hollywood, right? It's not that. It's not that. So. I think a lot of people just don't want the attention that comes with it. Like they just can't handle it. They understand. They like the thought of it. Like they all like the thought of getting paid $20 million for a film, but they're not going to get there. Very, very few actors who are paid that sort of money have a normal life, right?
Exactly.
Like maybe like Daniel Day-Lewis probably could pull it off because he does 7 films in his whole life and gets an Oscar for all of them. But like most people can't do that, right? So I think that's kind of it. Like I'm guessing with you, like, I mean, you've already got some of the fame already. So, like, how do you feel about that when you get to the point where your privacy stops being private?
Yeah. I think I've been on a big journey this year, still figuring that out. And I'm in a quite stable space. But earlier in the year, I was just a bit like, do I really want this? Because it's already happened. And when I went back to Wellington, my numbers had doubled and I went out for, to get food for dinner and just a takeaway on the first day that I'd moved into my new flat. And I kind of forgotten that I was on TikTok or anything because when you're just moving and doing too much mundane but chaotic stuff, it's... So then I got into the CBD, walking around, and it was happening that evening. I went, oh, I can't do this for another year. I did it all last year where I was living in the city and just walking. So I bought a car like 3 days later, and that's cut out half of it. So mission successful. Like,
Cool.
I really wanted to dodge a bit of that. And it's not that I'm not interested in people. It's not that. Like, it'll still happen. I'll still meet, and I still have. But just cutting it off or trimming it down so that I can get my food as a student, you know, and not, you know, you don't feel like you're ready to chat to the world every day, and the you know, upholding your image if you want to, which I think we all do in a way, you know, the healthy image, right? That's a bit of pressure there.
Yeah.
Getting things right, saying the right things, but I think again, I'm using these characters to help. You know, it's about the work, so it can't be about me, and so that's all good. I really am protecting myself there. Yeah, I agree. I've had chats with other actors and many actors this year, really trying to ask them, how have you done it? Or I'm a bit scared, and they go, Theo, you're okay. Yeah. And for someone, this was someone who's already, you know, popped off in her own regard. I was like, okay, that's really good to hear, because I was getting to the point where I'm like really like, because as you're saying, you don't live a normal life, and so you have to start asking yourself that, like really asking yourself, okay, you can protect it, you know, you can leap into the chaos of it, or you can just, you're going to be a bit a part of it, but you don't have to do it all. And the more I get it out now as a young person, kind of, by the time I'm late 20s, maybe half of that stuff won't matter anyway, or the glam of it in any regard. But it's kind of infectious in its own way, because if you move into a room with those people, then, you know, you remember a room. So, you know, just being cautious of that. But I like knowing that there's nothing special, and and just trying to ground myself there. So when I talked to an actress, Anna Scotney, this year, she's incredible, very smart. Shout outs to her, and just has such ease and sensitivity when she works. And she just described something which we were talking about a bit before, about success in Hollywood or something. But she said, I'm interested in it playing at scale. And I was like, that's an interesting way of talking about it. So that way you're not trying to get to Hollywood. You're not trying to get out of New Zealand, because all that talk of getting out of here, it's quite whiny, and you might regret it, because then you'll go, the world's too big. So it's exciting. I'd say it's exciting. But what she was saying was play at scale. So have the opportunity to work with one of the greatest directors, not because of their name, but because of their work. But yes, their name. And to work with high-tech cameras. Let's say it's IMAX. Let's say it's the best composers, a combination of creatives and artists coming together, where the budget's big enough, and maybe you get paid more, but really it's playing at scale, which you'll never get to do in your career if you don't head that way. So that was a great way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's good. That's a clever way to look at it.
Playing at scale.
It's an interesting thing. I sort of look at it as well. Like, you talked about being grounded, and I mean, for me and where we are and what we do, I mean, we obviously we have our attention seeker TikTok account, and then like LinkedIn, my LinkedIn, and I mean, my TikTok's small, but the LinkedIn's where most of my personal crowd is around, because there's a business community, right? And I found that, like, when you go into places and everyone knows you, because I'm quite well known on LinkedIn in the business community, and then so when I go do business community shit, everyone there knows who I am. They see me all day. So in my little small community, I'm really well known. I mean, and then the attention seeker TikTok took us to a different thing, and fucking randoms on the street yell out random shit to me. But like, I kind of realized, for me, that you have to stay grounded in that, like, knowing who you are and what it is that you're wanting, what is the success that I'm looking for, and understand. And I had to make that check, and actually I had to do that with my partner Claire, to be like, hey, you have to come for this ride, because she's not like out there as much as I am. And I had to check in with her that she's okay with that too. That, hey, this is the life that's going to be like. Random people run up to us on the street, and you just have to deal with it. But then also I had to realize, like, what really grounded me was when I realized, because I've got a businessman entrepreneurship brand, the responsibility that came with that as well. That you know, like with influencers, their responsibility is that they don't tell people to do dumb shit, because otherwise they'll go do dumb shit. And the same responsibility for me is that there's like people out there who want advice, who want help with their businesses. They're looking to me to give them answers on how to run their business, and there's like a responsibility piece that I struggle with, like. Because I'm pretty opinionated in my way of running a business and doing things, and then I have to remember to tell people, it's like, don't just fucking copy me, because you'll probably end up in debt and fucked up and not have any money left and burn your, because like there's a particular type of person I am that does this.
Yeah.
So there's a real responsibility thing that I feel a lot now. Like I have a lot of young kids who are like, hey, I've got this startup, I'm doing this thing, like I need some advice. And I'm like, fuck, if I tell you to do how I run it, but you're not me, you're gonna burn it all to the ground.
Yeah.
And so I noticed that the other day. So I've started, part of it, my content strategy on TikTok is I ask people to submit me questions and comments, and then I'll reply to them, like things that they're going through. And I did them the other day. I'd like recorded 12 answers, and I was like, fuck, I don't know if I should post some of these. Like, people might take this the wrong way. Like, if this answer goes off and then 10 people try to do it, their businesses will fucking fall over probably, because they can't run at the pace I run at, because they've got kids or whatever it is, or they're just young and naive. So that I think for me, that's the hardest thing, like the responsibility that comes with it. You know, because people listen. I remember reading a book by, what's his name? There's this guy who wrote this book, and he had a massive following. It'll come to me soon, but he told people to smoke cigarettes for the tobacco because of the nootropic effect of it. And I was like, bro, you can't say that. There's millions of people going to read this book, and they're dumb. Like, they're just not at the level you're thinking, where you do it for a way of actually getting the effects of the nootropic that it is. But you're just going to get people addicted to smoking. And that's the sort of stuff, like, I'd read things like that, or I hear things like that. I think that's an interesting aspect of like fame, but also influence, and people who know you, things that you say, the responsibility that comes out of it. And that's why people get cancelled, right? Because they're irresponsible for the shit that they say.
But you know, even if they're talking positively or something, I'm coming to learn that, especially within the acting community, you are it. So there's a bit of a model and a bit of a path, but they've went on a journey, and that journey was 40 years ago, before we were even born. So the game's different, and the older you get and the more you even do the job, you can start to see, well, that just wouldn't be my approach. Thanks. Even if Leo says it, Leonardo, it doesn't matter actually, because I'm not him. Or, you know, you could, but that's hard to suss out when you don't know, and you're like, is that, like, that's the thing I was getting caught up with a little. Is there a reality to this business I'm missing? And is it really gonna? And so Elijah Wood was a nice, okay. But you know, when the day where you start to see a certain thing over and over, you're like, is that the reality? And you just don't want to be spooked by it, and you think you have to join that train of something dumb, right? So
when you think about, so you said this is last year?
Last year.
Okay, so you graduate. What happens? What's the plan?
I'm going away on holiday for a little bit, so that's good. And then next year it's all hands in. I mean, I've got writing, various things I'm writing. And,
cool.
You have more time to audition. I'm trying to make a piece at the moment, so looking at making a live piece, and then keeping up the TikToks and just seeing what comes from that. But really, it's that leap of like, well, now I'm out in the world. Anything. I was watching. I was driving past a primary school today on the way to Sylvia Park, and there were just some kids out on concrete, and I was like, I remember like sitting in like that, and it would be like an afternoon, and you'd see cars drive by, and you'd see someone around my age, so not like a full adult, but you know, not a full adult, but you know, someone in their 20s or something, and being like, I can't wait to get to that age where I have freedom to just go wherever I want, because I assumed that they'd do anything. And that's kind of the reality now. I was like, I had my shades on. I was like, wow, I can, like, I could, but I've got to go to this podcast. So. But it kind of is that you can decide now. And so something beautiful about childhood in that, we reminisce on it because you had no responsibilities and da-da-da. But the bit I forgot, and that was by driving past today, was you felt trapped because you weren't allowed to go anywhere and do what you wanted. So let me use that and go, I can do that now. And so especially when I've been in institutes, I went from high school to film school to acting school, and now it's like I'll finally be out.
Yeah.
So what does a week look like for me?
Yeah.
And that's not scary, but more like we'll find out, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way to know until you do, right?
Yeah. And especially in a career like this, though, it's like there's no 9 to 5. There's no company you join. So you really have to figure out what you're wanting from a week, probably, or figure out how to flow. And also, what are you doing when you're not acting? And how to putting the work at home. But it's a mental. That's the biggest thing I've learned through the more my work's got chaotic or something.
Yeah.
It's how it sits mentally. It's not physically.
Yeah.
And so how to cut it off, or also when you're hanging out socially as an actor, you think every I've talked about this with other mates in my class. You start to wonder is this interaction just like as an acting thing? Meeting this person, hanging out with this person, and I'm only looking for qualities that I'd enjoy because they're an actor. And quickly trying to go separate that life, because you're really addicted to acting, but acting is about human nature and humans.
Yeah.
And so it seems like when you're really doing acting well, there's no job there.
Yeah.
And so, hanging out socially, the perfect. And then you start watching how people are eating, and you might be overdoing it. You just need to, because you'll naturally, absorb it.
Yeah.
You'll naturally absorb it. So when people ask me, how do you come up with all the ideas? It's being absorbed.
Yeah.
But when I have to hone in on it, that's probably when it's actually maybe dangerous, or not dangerous, but it's like, when are you separating lunches now? And,
Yeah.
But figuring that out next year will be the fun challenge.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. Okay. Do you ever see, if you keep blowing this up and this keeps going off and you keep putting out more content and more followers and stuff, would you double down on it being your own media company? Would that be ideal? Or would that be I haven't learned enough in the industry and I want to do other shit and I want to try work with a big director and I want to do this work at scale stuff because of the experience? Or
what do you mean by media company? What?
So for instance, take Mr. Beast as an example, right?
Yeah.
He's built up such a following that he's a media company now, right? He's got a full on media
Got
company.
what you're saying. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So you create productions.
You create productions and you get paid for it because YouTube pays you or TikTok pays you or brands pay you.
I think I'm on the no for that right now because I've already got too many ambitious ideas outside of this.
Yeah.
And I'll just never execute them if I do that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't execute them in the same way if I just made it.
Yeah.
If I became the media, as you're saying. And I am curious. I think when you do this, it's kind of quite a solo thing.
Yeah.
And so and acting's all about collaboration, and filmmaking's all about collaboration. So I do want to be joining projects a bit more and learning how to sit under someone's direction.
Yeah.
And it's not about being bossed around, but it's about learning their process and then being bossed around or something. But no, really, adapting to different ways of people's work culture. But in the creative industry. So I'm a bit for now, no. But if TikTok's where it's at, it's funny because that can quickly be a reality sooner than you think.
Yeah.
And so I'm aware of,
Yeah.
If you wanted to create a series, you have the power to kind of start it. But I'm still curious in leeching onto those the other way of doing it. Yeah. Or bringing what I've got and explaining what I've got and what I've learnt. And that's quite valuable. Yep. And going in that way.
Yeah, I like it. I think you're right. I think for some people being quite solopreneurial is fine. Where they're just on their own, they make content, they have their small little media company that they make things with and get brand deals. And for a lot of them, I'd tell them, go for it, make a little company from it. But when you're serious about the art or the artistry, as you said at the start. So for me, the artistry was business. to learn business. I couldn't have just gone out and started my own businesses, and I know that now. And I think the smartest thing I did was I worked for someone else. Well, I worked for other people for till I was 33 or whatever it was, and then or 32, and then went out on my own. And that experience that I had was like is the reason why we've grown so fast now. And I talk to a lot of our clients like all the time. Like clients, like people who are like 15, 20 years old, and me will come in and be like, "Sound, need to pick your brain about business. Like I don't understand this thing," and it's because they've only been in business their whole life, and they just haven't had the range of experiences that come from working for other people and things to know what I know. And so I think like you're right. If you go work for other people and you do all this other stuff and you get on productions and movies and TV and whatever, you're going to learn shit that there's no way you could have learned on your own. It's just impossible, right? Because you wouldn't have been thrown in that deep end. So I think that's smart. I think that's cool. And I think like you said, you never know though, right? Like money talks. Like if things blow up and then you've got a YouTube channel that's generating you $100,000 a month, like what are you going to do? Like, oh, I'll just give this up to earn shit money on a TV show. Like you might still do it, but it's like that. Oh, sorry, go.
No, I was going to say a new question that pops up for me is what is the purpose of the work you make? Or will it be seen? So when you can go that viral, like you've somehow set a bar for yourself. And so if you choose to join a TV show in New Zealand, it won't be seen as much. So you have to be asking yourself other questions then. Are you in there for craft? Are you in there for, da-da-da-da? But for me, before all of this, it was about being a director, film director. And I did do the inverse because I didn't believe in joining. I didn't want to be the coffee guy and do that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to just do the thing. So acting allowed me to move. So now that I've kind of done the thing enough, it's like, okay, now I'll give a go. And actually, I bring credibility, I bring skills, I bring worth. And so, but yeah, it's funny because, I wouldn't have always said, I don't think, you can, I just haven't.
You don't know.
Doing it.
But you're still young. You're still testing grounds, right?
Exactly.
Like you said, this is a testing ground for your acting capabilities, and that's all it is. And you'll see where it takes you, right? Which I think's cool. I think it's smart because you're still so young and you obviously have so many options ahead of you. Why stick to one, right? Because you might miss the one that's over here. I kind of look at do you watch that guy Destrawing, the guy who does the football YouTube? He'll be on here too on TikTok. Kind of DE.
This is great.
Destrawing at 2 double E. Destroying. Like destroying, not strawberry. O-Y. Yeah. There you go. So this guy, he was at college football and he started making YouTube clips and he started getting paid. And so the university said to him, you have to, because when you're an amateur, back in the day in America, or back in the day, a few years ago, if you're an amateur athlete in the university, you can't be paid. It's like against the law, right? Or against the rules. So he was offered, you either delete your YouTube channel that you're starting to make some money off as a student in the football world here, or you were going to expel you from the school. And so he was like, fuck you, I'm not giving up my YouTube, and left. And it made national news, and then that bumped him up even more, so he was getting even more views. And then so he went all in on it. And now he's massive. He does these cool 1v1 football NFL stuff, which is real cool. And he's massive on YouTube, like way bigger than he is here on TikTok. And he has created this media company now that does sports content. Like he's the sports center of today. Like it's huge. Right. And he does I don't know if you ever watched 30 by 30s on ESPN, but he does that sort of content as well. Yeah. And anyway, I bring it up because he really wanted to be a football player. He's a kicker by trade. And he's had to go, I'm going to give up millions of dollars to go back and be a kicker that earns maybe $250,000 for a season, because he can't do both because it's full-time training for both. And that's the dilemma he got. He got to this point where now he's got 5 million subscribers on YouTube and makes stupid money. He got a player through one of the things that he does into the XFL. So the Rock does, the XFL, which is like a sub brand to NFL, a smaller brand. You're right. And then he ended up topping the charts for touchdowns in that whole league, in his first league, that he's now getting an NFL contract. Wow. So this guy, as a sports channel, he's got a guy an NFL contract. Wow. He is ESPN now. Yeah. He's massive.
It's funny, eh?
It's crazy. And now he can't give it up to do the thing he wanted to do in the first place, which was be a footballer.
Yeah, of course.
So like that's one of the things
Yeah.
you might face one day.
Yeah.
And create his own football team now.
Yeah, has he?
No, you could do.
Oh, he could do. Yeah, no, he could do. Yeah, he could do. He's that big, and he knows all the best like local players who just play 1v1 stuff.
But it's funny because it happens so fast
Yeah.
with the internet, and so it's
You can't predict it.
It's you can't predict it, but it's obvious to.
Yeah.
So I'm curious though,
Yeah.
when you do detach yourself from it, and say I was to do some acting workshop in London, where they take it up a notch.
Yeah.
I'd really learn a lot there, but that just seems so. Don't go back and train again. It would make sense, but that's where I get curious because this does make sense,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like asking yourself again what you're wanting somewhere deep down, or that listening somewhere really inside, because that stuff happens so quick.
So quick.
I'm making it sound like a negative. It's not. It's incredible. It's just maybe you're scaring me that it's going to be TikTok for life, dog.
No, like I think you're gonna really like, because you're very creative, you're very good at what you're doing. Like your TikToks are crack up, and they'll come to a point where like opportunities like this will happen. Things will go and it'll take you down a path. But I think what's cool about you is that, like, from listening to you today, you'll go with it, like, to see where it takes you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I reckon this Destroying guy, I guarantee you he sells his YouTube channel. I guarantee you in 5 or 10 years when he's over it, because he will, right? He would have flexed all his creative muscles. He would have had this big audience. And then someone like ESPN will come and be like, bro, we'll give you $1 billion. Give us your thing. And then now he can go flex some other shit.
Yeah.
Right? That's what will happen.
And
he's
that's
so
pretty
young.
Yeah.
He's so young. He can
Yeah.
he can still do all the other shit he wants to do. I mean, he probably won't be able to go play football at that stage. But it'll be the same for you. Like, stuff will happen because you're going so hard, so young, that you'll get some opportunities and you got to run with them. But it doesn't mean you can't go back to some school in London and learn some shit. And, you know, it's like when you watch it's like, because we're going to New York in a month, and you know, you go look at Broadway, because like there's a bunch of musicals and stuff we want to go watch while we're there, and like just the amount of A-list celebrities who have got shows on, right? Like
that was when I went to London last year. It was like, wait,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
that's the norm. I guess
That's just the norm. So like they're still going creatively. I need to flex some other shit, so I'm gonna go Broadway. Or, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So it doesn't mean you can't. Like everyone
No,
does that throughout
yeah.
their life, and then even in entrepreneurial world,
Yeah.
right? Like people exit out of a business and go do something else.
Yeah. But I think what's interesting though is when you're on social media, you can really see those numbers every day, and you can be impacted by it very fast. And so someone who's on Shortland Street can walk down the street, maybe get recognized a bit here and there. Like someone in my classes, shout out to Xander. He's Harry Warner. He plays the son.
Oh yeah.
But like, you know, we've talked a bit about him, and it's happening every now and then. But it's nothing like if you're on TikTok when you're 6 days a week and someone just saw you 5 minutes ago. So what that does to your ego or brain or subconscious somewhere is affecting something.
Yep.
So that, you know, these actors who have been in the industry, they'll go 3 months off on a shoot, but they're not aware of how much their fame is, and then they do the press and realize it. But with TikTok, you're aware of it every day.
Every day.
And so then if you choose to do a theatre show, you're going to be quite, well, first of all, how do I put that down? So when I've had to, last week I was on a short film, had to put it all down, and that's fine, you know, you're here, but that's a lot. It's just a lot.
Pressure.
Because it's on the ball every day, and it's millions are seeing it, millions are interacting with it.
Yep.
And then you go from now we're just in a room with 16 people to make this small little project, and that matters. But that's going to be hard, the balance of the brains and the different worlds, because they're so intense when you're a creator or something. Yeah.
Crazy. Well, I look forward to watching the journey, bro.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, we're well over an hour, I think now. So we'll start wrapping it up.
Yeah.
The time went pretty fast at the end there. But hey, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And honestly, look forward. I think you're onto big things.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Thank you
Cheers.
for having me on, and having this corridor, and learning a little bit about your life and where you come from as well. Because I think it's funny that there is, well, now I'm realizing there's business everywhere, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
And it's maybe when you do acting, money can scare you, or it can also seem like when you interact with business people, all it is money. But at the heart of it, there's a lot of people who aren't just here to fish and feed, and sitting with you today is a good example of that. And you're open to learn yourself, so that's
100%.
brilliant.
Yeah, you got to be. Bro, money for actors and creatives just need to understand money's just a tool. It's no different to the camera you film yourself on. It's just a tool to help you do more shit. That's all it is. But people get it twisted and they think, I need as much of it as I can.
Yeah.
No, you need what you need to get the thing done that you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's just a tool. So
Yeah.
anyway, man, appreciate it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cheers.